And that was a difficult-ish passage to the point that I remember even Sandeep saying that some of his students, they came back saying that they didn't understand anything about the passage and they still managed to get it right. On pacing, yes. Once I started doing timed sections and I started giving mocks, pacing was an issue. I think sometimes I've sent doubts at 2 p.m. in the night and thinking, oh, kal subah tak aa jayega. And then the next morning I see I was replied in like 10 minutes. So I was wondering, are people working around the clock over here or what the situation is? But yeah, don't try to select a score for yourself is definitely what I would say.
Hi, good afternoon, Mihir. Are you at work? Are you at work?
Yeah, I'm at work. I'm at work.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking out that time, Mihir.
Oh,
And
no worry.
fantastic score, yeah, GMAT
Thank
735.
you so much.
I think
Yeah.
on July 3rd, it was around evening, right after you gave your GMAT, you texted me saying that
Yeah.
when will the official score report be sent? And I said 3 to 5 days. But hey, wait,
Yeah.
did you get your
Yeah.
score? And I think
Yeah.
maybe you traveled back home and then you texted me.
No, so there's a reason. There's a reason. Okay, so when that score actually came, I didn't even see it for 2 seconds. मैंने बस बंद कर दिया, and assuming that I would get it later on. And then when I went out, she said, "Oh no, it's like you'll just get it on your MBA.com." Then my mind started racing. Did I see the right score? Did I just imagine it or what? So I texted you, and you said 3 to 5 days. Then I was like, okay, I need to forget about this whole thing now. But
Okay.
thankfully, it came in the next morning. Yeah. So I didn't even tell a lot of people, like just my parents, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, when I received that message, because I think you sent it from the time I asked a question and then you responded, it was
Yeah.
another few more hours. But I was
Yeah.
so like overjoyed because I was just talking to even the other student who got that score.
Yes.
That's where I said,
Yeah.
don't worry, you should also get your score within these many hours.
Yeah.
Two students
Yeah.
getting the same score, and we were like completely overjoyed. Look at the performance section now when you look back. Oh my God, it's 100 percentile in verbal. You
Yeah.
got 95th percentile in quant, data inside 94 percentile. Now, if you go and look at the, let's say the previous type, I mean the GMAT Classic Edition, it almost equates to a 770 because it's over 99.7
Yes.
percentile. I think that 0.7 doesn't capture in the your percentile section, so they've marked it 100 percentile, but that is their latest report by the GMAT. So as soon as you saw this score, now that you've said the story of the first time you saw the score, you forgot about it, but when you saw the score the next day, how was your feeling, Mihir?
I mean, I was super overjoyed. I think, right? I did not. Most GMAT providers, they kind of advertise themselves as, oh, so many of our students get 7+, and that's great. That's great and amazing. But that was not what I was looking for. That's why I kind of just spoke to a couple of students from top and just went for it. Yeah, I think first thing I did was check my score. I remember in the quant section, I was done with the whole thing pretty early. I think I had 10-15 minutes remaining and just one question, and it was honestly the simplest question ever. And I knew I got it wrong in the end. I just couldn't. My brain stopped working or something. And that's the only question I've gotten wrong. So I'm kind of a little fussed that even that could have been better. But yeah, that's all. I just looked at the score once and I'm like, okay, now I'm done.
So Mihir, what I want to ask is, do you recall at the time when you saw the score, or immediately did you come back and just see how many mistakes would you have made, or when you saw that performance section, do you recall that segment?
Yeah. So for example, in quant, right, I said I knew I just had that one wrong. I was pretty sure about it. In verbal, I was doing well. I think I had one section. It was on Earth's formation, magma, all of that. And that was a difficult-ish passage to the point that I remember even Sandeep saying that some of his students, they came back saying that they didn't understand anything about the passage and they still managed to get it right. And after I read the passage all of once, I had very little understanding, a general understanding of what's just happened. So that's when I kind of remembered, okay, it's possible that I may not understand this, but still get the questions right. So I read it again and solved all of those. So the only thing I checked is what happened in that section. And thankfully, I just had one wrong over there. Just one
question
one
in
wrong in that
verbal.
passage. So in verbal, yeah.
Yeah, and
So I was
how about in
happy-ish.
quant and DI, how many did you see that, how many questions would you have gotten wrong overall?
Just the one wrong in quant.
Okay.
And in Yeah, actually, I had a few wrong. I think 4 or 5 wrong actually, which is quite a high number. My sense is that if my uh, percentile came up still pretty okay because they were in the latter stage. So I think I got the first 13 or 14 right, and then just in the last 6, 7, I've gotten like 4 wrong or something like that. So my sense is that that number is kind of high. Because we try to go for 90% accuracy, right? But why I might have gotten still an acceptable percentile is because it was in the higher, more difficult ranges. And I could feel that those questions were more difficult. They were taking a lot of time also, and they were like kind of higher order. So I was fine. I thought that even if I get a couple wrong here, it's fine as long as I just keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll come to the exam section, I think, a little later part in our conversation. We'll build to that. So before, of course, we go forward, I would like to just talk about yourself. Let me know about, where do you work and how did this GMAT and MBA, because you mentioned you've already been preparing for it. So
Yeah.
how did this GMAT and MBA become a part of the plan, and what and who inspired you to get to this path? What essentially
Right.
what
So,
rather, yeah.
right. So I graduated from NMIMS where I read economics for 3 years. And back then I had taken the GMAT in 2019 for the ISB YLP program. I got a decent score. I got the admit as well. After that, I started working with DE Shaw. I did that for a year and a half. After which I moved to Nomura, where I was part of their global investment banking program. Did that for close to 2 years, and now I currently work with Avendus, the private equity arm, where we manage a $250 million fund. We're also raising a new one right now. Why I wanted to take the GMAT again is A, because it was expiring. It had been 5 years.
Right.
And but jokes apart, why I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I wanted to do an MBA. Just in terms of why I didn't go to the ISB program is because I kept seeing good progress in my career, and I just kept thinking, can I try for more? यहाँ पे आ गए, can I try for something more? Can I try for something higher? Aim for something higher. So, and I think now I felt like it's the perfect time for me to kind of go into an MBA program, learn, with others who've been in my industry as well as in other industries, and then kind of, move into the higher bracket of, functional job, right? So that was the decision behind doing the MBA. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
But more importantly, I think the philosophy matched a lot. You were already
Yep.
set with that mindset, and probably
Yeah.
your workplace also, because now you're seeing that, you're making such a big progress in terms of funds, and I'm sure you would now like to see, into 5 times the funds, and that would more possibly happen when you have a global exposure, get a tag to your name. And I think that Sandeep also keeps pushing that, this is not the limit. There's so much more. If you're already doing well, or you're already at a certain point, you can do 5 times more.
Yes.
That you dream a little bigger, and the philosophy matched. You got the right mentor. So,
Yeah.
looking back in your preparation, you mentioned that now you wanted to structure it
Yeah.
better with the GMAT preparation. And how did you go about structuring for maximum effectiveness? Coming from the resources that you utilize, from the portal,
Yeah.
from study plan, and you were a part of a self-paced course, right? So,
Yeah.
could
Self-paced course.
go about telling us that?
Yeah. So I think one thing I kept pretty constant from the beginning is to follow like the whole process to the last T, right? Not try to take shortcuts, because that's usually been my approach a lot of times. And I think a lot of people who smartish people, they try to cut corners and they're like, oh, we know, yeah, let's. But this time, what I actually try to do is follow everything to the T as much as I could. I realized that I needed a process, right? GMAT can sometimes be super like weird, the logic section and the biological, I mean the conditional reasoning section on the verbal can be super weird for your normal understanding to kick in, right? So you kind of need a process. So I went with that. Even the smaller process, like, okay, how can a verbal question be broken down into a mathematical formula? Okay. Yeah. And then I think all the pre-work, post-work, just kind of okay, even so I thought, okay, maybe post-work I won't do it, I'll do it later. But no, I still kind of kept going, even though that meant I took my GMAT a little later than I wanted to. I had to also take some time off work to kind of completely get into the zone in the last 2, 3 weeks, right? But yeah, I think just like subscribe to the process and then just like kind of follow it. I think that would be all.
That we will. And so,
Yeah.
in terms of any specific strategy that helped you in verbal section, and we'll look at all the sections per se,
Mhm.
but what were your initial weak areas, specifically looking at RC, or any specifics in RC that you were not able to, like, what was your initial percentile or accuracy percentile, and then what specific resources at top that helped you, break
So
through?
correct. So for that, I'll just say that I took my time initially. Okay, I start slow is what I would say.
Right.
Allowing if I allow myself to start slow, and by that I mean maybe like I think in the pre-work there's always a PDF that you have to read. You have to do that pre-read, solve a few questions, check them, then attend Sandeep's class. So some of it is repetitive, some of it is repetitive. I agree with that. And he always says that, initially do it on time, right? Do it on time and just, I kept thinking, how will this translate into the time sections? But again, as I said, like follow the process. Initially, because I took so much time right from the very beginning, my accuracy was in the 90 to 100% range, which was surprising to me. Like, and that kind of reinforced me to, like positive reinforcement. If you're seeing results early on, you'll kind of stick to it. That's what happened with me. I was worried about how it translates when I start doing time, right? And there was some drop. There was some drop. Like I think I went from 90-95% accuracy to 80% accuracy, which is 4 out of 5 correct, which is not all the way there. You still need to go like 85-90% accuracy, but that is something you can build on, right? So I think yes, follow the fact that you can do on time in the beginning, get your accuracy up to a very high range where you are so confident about your answer that you don't need to check the uh, answer again. Obviously, that doesn't happen in all of them, but as long as you're doing 80-90% of the time, you'll be sorted. So that's kind of what I stuck with.
So you took, because I'm so glad we are having this conversation, because a lot of students that I'm talking to, they're in this phase of preparation ki
Hmm.
I'm not having any confidence to take time tests because of
Yeah.
some reason. So what is it that you tried doing to build up on the time test? Did you keep taking too many timed sectional or the topic wise test? How did you build to take more
Correct. Correct.
be
So
comfortable around that?
I think what I did over there was, yes, once, okay, so all the course can take some time, right? So by the time you're on the sixth session of RC or sixth session of CR, the first session might have become distant. So do a quick revision, did a quick revision, warmed myself up on some of the sectional tests, right? Okay, let's do a few questions of RC, let's do a few questions of CR, like warm myself up. And then before I took my first real full test, right, what I did was, I took all pressure off it. I There was no pressure to, oh, let's get the perfect score the first time around. Take the pressure off it and then just go in with a clear mind. I think that's what worked for me at least. Some
Right.
people do very well under pressure. I don't think that
Equal.
works for everyone. So that's what I did. Yeah, I kept myself, right, just warmed up on some of the initial concepts. Like at least for let's say for CR, right, we do. I think inference is something that we do early on in the program, and then we towards the end we finish with evaluate question. तो towards the end ऐसा हो सकता है कि inference के बहुत concepts नहीं आ रहे. So just as long as you've done it very thoroughly the first time, the warm up should be very fast. You come back to it very quickly, right? The mental recall is very quick. So give yourself a couple of days, maybe a week for that. Then solve some sectional tests and then get to it. I do not generally think that you need to do more than 5, 6, 7 mocks. That's fine. So yeah, if you can do more, if you can really do 10, 12 and hit all of them out of the park, that's great and amazing. But if you've got the process right, 5, 6 mocks are also enough.
Great enough. And
Yeah.
so this was verbal. How do you have to say about Quant and DI in your preparation phase?
And D, I would say that so prep for quant is fine. Okay, that went fine. I think where the real game changer is that top K mocks are super difficult, like really, really difficult to the point that I was in the 80-85% accuracy range. And then suddenly I know I remember I did one of the NDA.com tests and I was like, this cannot be the same test. It genuinely cannot be the same test because not I finished like 15 minutes earlier. I had 15 minutes to go. Whereas on top tests, I usually had like I was short of 2-3 minutes. So that's when I knew that I'll be fine. I'll be fine as long as I can more or less ace the top test. I'll be okay. I remember there's in your system you will have one email from me vehemently asking that is what is this? Can someone explain? Because I had a 100-point difference in
Right.
the GMAT.com test and MBA.com test and the top one. So, and I was trying to live with that as long as I knew that, oh, this is actually genuinely that much more difficult. And then
Yeah.
they said, yeah, it is testing you in the top
Difficult, and
1%
even the
range.
scoring also is that you get
Yeah,
an answer wrong, you're really getting a minimum marks. We don't
yeah,
have anywhere set to somewhere very closer as per the official GMAT. We
yeah,
have a certain
yeah.
scoring for every even the wrong answers, right? Ours is
Yeah,
like
and I remember the set key. prepare for the worst, right? Prepare for the absolute worst, and then everything else is a bonus. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can live with that.
So the idea of even the mocks, when our faculty and Sandeep sir both came together and prepared this mock, we wanted that every student feels that on the test day, it's exactly the same.
Yes.
UI, UX experience, text, font size, everything is taken
Yeah.
care of. And I'm so happy that,
Oh, that's something I would like to point out, because the interface is the same. Like, it's the exact same. I don't know how you guys have managed to get the color and the everything the same way, but it's actually the same. It's like, it's nothing that I hadn't seen before on the
I
test
mean, this
day.
was the thought process
Yeah.
from the faculty itself that the student should not have any difference. And so I think
Yes.
that made a big difference in all the students who are getting, including you, the score. So
Yeah. Yes.
in your preparation, again, before we head to the GMAT exam, आपका like personal, professional या GMAT level पे any roadblocks was there that took a time off from your preparation? You did mention it took a little longer than you anticipated that you'd give the GMAT exam, and how did you overcome that? How when there was a gap,
Yeah.
was there any gap at all?
Yeah, there was. Especially, I think I said this before as well, on the verbal part, you try to come in with a lot of logic and of your own real world logic, real world common senses, real world cause effect relationships, and you kind of have to lose them all. Because I think it's like something Sandeep likes to say, that if the GMAT says the sun rises from the west, then you have to run with that. So kind of that, I think from day one, you have to drop notions of and there's no point arguing, right? I kind of used to be the person who I would argue the once before when I taken the GMAT. Oh no, I think this is right, and oh no, this answers, even though you're saying it's right, it's just it sounds ridiculous. And I think there's something once Sandeep said, it doesn't matter what you think. What do you want to do? Do you want to argue with me over here, or do you want to? And this was one of the live recordings that I was listening to. But do you want to argue with me, or do you want to go to the? Do you want to go to an MBA? So yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the common roadblocks people have. And the earlier you can just share that notion, I think it's just better for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And but
Yeah.
overall, because then it's been quite some time since you started, but kahin pe any gap was there in did you take a break somewhere kahin pe because of work or because any other reason?
Yeah. So I mean, I was not able to do 3 hours a day, okay, because just the way my day is, sometimes I work out with everything else. But so that's why I was a little stressed, because that is something the program has kind of focus on a lot. You have to do it. But what I tried to do was, even if I can do it every day and every day for 3 hours, I should at least look at it for 3 to 4 times a week. And whenever I do, then let's try to make that as high quality as possible. Even if, let's say, I'm not up there on the quantity, let's try to make it as high quality even when I'm doing it. And then that's when I knew that I have to take a few weeks off work in the end, because if someone's been doing it consistently for 3 hours, 2, 3 hours a day for 2, 3 months, they don't need to do that. They genuinely do not need to do that. I knew I had to, because my initially it was a little slower. So yeah.
Those were the thing. So on the
Yeah.
dates, did it feel any different that today is very different from the days that you've been preparing? And what was the section that you chose before you attended before you started your exam? What's the
Like
order
the
of
orders.
exam? Yeah, order of exam sections that you chose, and
Yeah.
and how about your pacing? Did you in through all of the section?
Okay. So I'll just begin with the order first. I went with verbal first because I wanted to get, like, I was like, let's tackle the toughest one first, and then the rest should be quant and DI should be pretty okay to go with. So I, from day one, all the mocks that I took, I only did it with verbal, quant, and DI in the end. Yeah, that's one. On the second part is, if the test didn't look any different, not really. I think there's just something about the fact that if you've prepared for a very hard exam and you know that in your head, you'll be okay on the final day. I had to keep telling myself that don't let that thought overcome. Oh, I'm now going to go into an easier exam. I knew it was going to be an easier exam from what I prepared for. But just keep that as a thought in the back of your head to comfort you when you might be getting anxious. But that's second. On pacing, yes. Once I started doing timed sections and I started giving mocks, pacing was an issue. So what I realized was that even um, when I started, I would get the score, like I would take the mock, get the score, and then look at the questions, whichever I hadn't even attempted. I would attempt them as if without even looking at the answer. And I saw that even there, my accuracy was the same as for the rest of the exam, 80, 90%. So then I knew that pacing had to be improved. And for that, what I did was largely in verbal, in CR or in RC. If I do not know the answer and let's have eliminated three, I think any top student can eliminate three just like that. Without even on the hardest question, three answers are going to be useless. Even if you do not know and between the remaining two and it's been 2 minutes and over, go ahead. Like you can go ahead and come back later. That's something I just stuck by. I think in one of the strategy calls that I had attended a few days before the exam, I had asked this exact question at how and I told them my exam is in 4 days, so let's be realistic about what I can and cannot do.
Right.
And the answer was keep go ahead. Go ahead. You on the exam day, you will not have those many questions that trouble you that much. Just go ahead and you can come back. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I kind of and it can be difficult for people. And like it was super difficult for me to do it. Always you always feel like you're 90% there, right? Oh, if I just spend like 20 seconds more, I think I'll get the answer. But don't do that. Probably not worth it. Yeah.
So now you've attended both the exams. So the feature that the GMAT Focus Edition has introduced, the bookmarking,
Yeah.
coming back and
Yeah.
revisiting, changing. Did you think that kind of helped you? Did you utilize them, or
Oh, yeah.
a trick?
100%. 100%. I think as soon as you are aiming for 760 and up or even 740 and up, 750 and up, you know that on this exam day, you are realistically only going to have 2 or 3 questions that are going to bother you. Okay. And I think GMAT made it a little too easy for this range. And I think everyone at top should be aiming for that score, right? I think that's the whole program. So they've kind of made it easy. It's a hack almost, I would say, that you can go back and change 3 answers. So yeah, it's actually that's made it very comfortable.
Right. And
Yeah.
overall, how was the support from the faculty, strategy, be it, or question
Oh,
Q and answer?
yeah. So I think right from the beginning, and you may also remember this, that I had a lot of problems with. I couldn't make sense of the Excel, and I think you guys even made a new Excel so that would be easier for me to understand. Not for me, or for I think maybe
Everybody.
even others who had problems with it. And I know I was being irritating. So there was a lot of help there, even on the doubts. I thought, and I just know that the top has a lot of students. Okay, so it's a natural thought for any student, keep will my doubt be addressed or whatever. But I think sometimes I've sent outs at 2, 3 a.m. in the night and thinking, oh, kal subah tak aa jayega. And then the next morning I see I was replied in like 10 minutes. So I was wondering, are people working around the clock over here or what the situation is? So on the doubts, on everything that's, no, I would say pretty on point. Even the strategy calls, they make sure that they don't do more than 10, 15. I don't think I attended 2 or 3 of them. There were never more than 10, 12 students. Sometimes even 5, 6. So that's great. I mean, yeah, that's all one could ask for in terms of support. Yeah.
So happy to know all of these things. We are only just improving and making sure that we have scores like you. So, what is your
Yeah.
advice to the students who are watching, who may be watching this video, who probably may be starting right now, or maybe starting
Yeah.
maybe to the end of their preparation? What are the few do's and don'ts in through their preparation that you would like to suggest? Now that you've gone through all of it. So,
Yeah. I think most of all the lessons that I would have wanted to give, I've covered already. One that I haven't is that don't try to kind of self-select a score for yourself. It does not matter like kind of where you came from, and people kind of try to compartmentalize their own self into, let's say you have always been an 80% scorer in high school and college, then I kind of should get around 80 percentile or something like that. Do not try to do that. GMAT is literally, I think, your one chance to cancel out any negative performances you've had previously. Yeah, just do not select a score for yourself. If why not try to go for that 800? Maybe you won't get it. Most likely you won't get it, right? I think few people, 1 or 2 people get it. But yeah, don't try to select a score for yourself. Is definitely what I would say.
right. And
Yeah,
anything don't during the preparation, do and do's, don'ts obviously cover in that one thing, but that's
don't don't skip for sure. Don't skip. Don't not ask doubts. Keep asking doubts. I think just an example is up until 2 days before the exam, I kept getting probability and PNC questions wrong. I just kept getting, and when you combine those with overlapping sets, there's that one particular question type that I just kept getting wrong. And at one point I thought, and at one point I knew this probably wasn't going to come on the exam anyway. Okay. a couple of websites also said that no, this probably has never usually never tested. But I remember getting onto the strategy call where I asked, how can I this one particular concept I can get it right? Um, and the instructor helped me go through this again, do this, and that question actually came on the exam.
It did.
And now the way I think about it is, if I got it right, if I hadn't, then who's to say this could have dropped by 10 point, 20 point? You don't know. I do not know. So I think that right towards the end, keep asking questions, get concepts solved. People will have a lot of difficulty, I think, with conditional reasoning also. But maybe they can take it from me that there is a way it can be solved through a process, through a real formula.
Real.
So yeah, just get that right, get the basics right, and then run with that.
Super. So during the evaluation phase, when you initially joined, Richa mentioned, so this is a part of what next for you, right? She had mentioned that, you would like to apply to Wharton and Columbia. You had written it yourself. So does that remain the target now? Because the score is phenomenal, fantastic, and an impressive score, which would get you to any school of your choice. And I'm sure you're targeting these schools. So the very first obvious choice is the finance, Wharton and Columbia, or are they all the other schools? And are you applying in the round ones?
So I think I'm just trying not to get ahead of myself, because I know that this is one step clear. And trust me, I have a lot of ideas in my head right now and this and that. But once again, the idea is just to keep the eyes head down, manage on the price, and just run with it. And then hopefully, in 2 months, with the help from top, let's hope I get there.
Right.
And yeah,
Given
I'll be happy to prove you. I'll be happy to prove you right. Is all I'm saying.
Given the 15 minutes of conversation, I exactly knew you would be saying this, because you want to just stay low and
Oh yeah.
then. But I'm sure that you will crack the admit. I'm rooting for you, and we've been connected on LinkedIn as well. You have a fantastic profile. I hope you've already spoken to all three. See if it all works out. We still have so much time to get your application right, because that is the one that steers you into getting into the colleges. You're extremely smart, so you should be able to get through. We'll be celebrating once you can get an admit for probably.
Oh yeah. You can expect that. Yeah. As you said, I also thought that time is a little less, and it probably is. It's probably not less. It's very tight. So yeah, I have to aggressively get started with all three, and yeah.
All right. So I'm so grateful and thankful that you've taken out so much time from your office time and you've connected with me today.
I hope they don't see it.
I hope that whoever would be watching this, they find this extremely useful, the tips. I'm so glad, because the conversation that we were leading on, this is the kind of conversation that our students, almost who started around the same time, they are going through, and this can help them relieve wherever they are stuck at. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful insights about your preparation, and thus the score gives a lot of people an inspiration to get that kind of a score and be at wherever they have to. Thank you again. I wish you all the very best, Mihir. Is there anything you want to say?
No, I think I've said quite a bit. But yeah, I think I just want to say thanks, and I know we'll speak soon. So we'll keep talking.
Yeah, I also have to thank especially on behalf of Sandeep sir. He's supremely proud. He was initially supposed to have a conversation with you, but he's extremely proud. And all of us at Top 1% are proud. We obviously share this news with everyone, the faculty and the team, the facilitators and the faculties. And we celebrate, bigger way.
No, I'm actually looking forward. I think sometime this weekend I'll speak with Sandeep as well. And I'm looking forward, because for the last 2 months, I've only been hearing his voice every day, right? But on the self-recorded, on the self-paced course. So yeah, it should be. I'm looking forward to chatting with him.
Hopefully very soon. And but again, I have to convey this, how proud we are all that we've been able to give this. We've been able to be a part of this chapter for you. There's so much bigger that is coming up for you in your life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Stop. Yeah.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.